Good afternoon. Welcome back to Passionate World Radio Network. Distinguish yourself from the ordinary. And this afternoon, we are interviewing another author from the International Miami Book Fair that takes place November 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. And today we're interviewing Irina Reyn, who wrote the book, The Imperial Wife. And I will give you a short synopsis. It takes place in two different times. One where Katherine the Great isn't great yet, and the other one in current time New York City, and she works in an art gallery. Good afternoon, Irina. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I am delighted. Lucky for you, several years ago I read the Katherine the Great book by a very famous writer whose name I can't recall. So I was pretty familiar with Miss Katherine.
Mm-hmm.
However, you have done him proud and made her very charismatic as well. A bitch, but charismatic. But in those days, you had to be a bitch, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really admire her very much. I mean, in some ways, she's even bolder than my contemporary character in many ways. I mean, here's a woman, right, who had no dynastic right to the throne and somehow managed to be empress for a long time. You know?
Absolutely. No, I almost could say that Katherine overshadowed your current lady, and it wasn't until the very end when she decided to become the bitch.
Well, you know, I mean, I think that what's interesting is anytime you have a present-day narrative and you have a historical narrative, I think that that's sort of the question you're asking, really, is have we really come, a long way? You know, what has been the role for women then and now? And I think you're really meant to put those two narratives back to back in order to ask some interesting questions about today.
Wait for the day when you write about Elizabeth I and Hillary Clinton, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Because I found that comparing the two was, in my mind, Katherine won out. But I think it was more because she was brought up to do this. She was brought up to win at any cost.
Exactly. I mean, she was royal. I mean, she was a princess, right? And in my present-day story, the woman who's the head of the Russian art department at the auction house, she's an immigrant. So she's had very different kind of challenges facing her than someone who's really already born into some sort of royalty. You know, it's already a kind of different, you almost can't compare them in the kind of power they're able to wield in the world.
That, and I think, too, which I found very interesting, for me at least, is that Katherine was already dying. I mean, if she didn't do what Mommy said and get that brass ring, she knew she'd die if she went home with Mommy, because Mommy would just about kill her.
Right. That did not seem like an appealing prospect.
So she really had nothing to lose at this point.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, you know, I think that there were moments, at least in her memoirs, where, you know, she does express this kind of a longing or a wish that the marriage had been different and had worked out differently. But I think once she really got the lay of the land fairly quickly about how unsatisfying that marriage is going to be, she quickly moved on to sort of the next plan in a way that I think, contemporary, when we're, our contemporary character, like for her, it really is important to have a healthy marriage. And, and so when her husband sort of up and leaves, this really kind of destroys her sense of what kind of happiness she can expect.
And I think, too, that society that we're living in today puts a different spin on how important marriage is if you're going to be married, as opposed back then where royals cheated on each other. Well, the men did, because the women couldn't be caught. They would lose their life, period. But it was an everyday thing for the male to cheat. And it was accepted.
Right. When marriage was a very practical proposition. It was, especially in the royal family, it was really about uniting political factions and countries. So, of course, everyone understood they were participating in something that had a higher purpose not related to personal satisfaction in the way that now we really have that, right? That luxury of considering, marriage really primarily a way to have, personal satisfaction in life, and we expect happiness, and marriage should sort of go hand in hand, at least in certain parts of the world, of course.
Of course. And the thing that I really felt was excellent was that when you took the order and gave it from Katherine, and then Katherine had to give it up to the slut that came next in the profession of women. And you didn't say it, but I felt that when the heirloom was given to this woman to wear and had been all gaudied up, that it might as well have been a fake, because it would be an emblem on a fake empress. It would be an heirloom on a fake beauty, because the reason why somebody would wear it with pride is not for the original intentions that it was given to Katherine, and given to the real person in that time, in the current time, was still a fake. So when she did something about it, because I don't want to give away the ending, it was finally going to where it really belonged. And I liked that. I thought you paid attention to it, but it wasn't the center thing in your book, and yet at the same time, it was the only thing that really counted, because you were talking about truth and falseness.
I think that's a really good point. I think that order's authenticity is brought up in the very beginning of the book, and I hope that by the end of the book, the question of what that authenticity really means is, like you said, gets sort of questioned and hopefully rearranged.
Exactly. So I was very pleased to see it. You did good, kid.
Pat me on the back. I like that.
Oh, yes. I always try to pat authors on the back, because let me tell you something, nobody else is going to be doing it.
No, that's for sure.
Or one hand's out and the other hand is halfway behind the back with the words, well, what have you done for us lately?
We definitely need it, for sure.
Absolutely. So, Irina, please tell everybody when people can see you down at the International Miami Book Fair, panel, reading, wherever, and how people can see you on the World Wide Web.
Yeah, I have my panel at the Miami Book Festival is at 3 o'clock on Saturday the 19th. And it's a panel about historical fiction, which I think will bring up some of these issues that we've talked about. And, I have a website, irinareyn.com, IRINAREYN. So definitely check it out for more information.
Great. And ladies and gentlemen, to hear this interview all over again with Irina Reyn, please go over to PassionateWorldRadioNetwork.com, Twitter.com/CAULDWELL, and Facebook.com/PWRN Network. And before you go away and stray, Seneca had this to say: most powerful is he who himself is in his own power. Okay, listen to that, Katherine the Great. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, please go and see the International Miami Book Fair at downtown Miami, associated with Dade College, November 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. All the authors you heard me interview for the past 2 weeks will be down there. I will be down there along with my host, Jeannie White, and we will be re-interviewing and interviewing the rest, as they say, the rest of the authors down there. So thank you all very much for listening, and remember, please keep listening. Thank you.